During the Casablanca meeting in January 1943, Churchill and Roosevelt ordered for plans to be made for a large-scale invasion of occupied France. The objective was to defeat Nazi Germany. The invasion was codenamed Operation Overlord. In December, Dwight D. Eisenhower was promoted to Supreme Commander of the Light Expeditionary Force. Subsequently, preparations for the invasion increased dramatically. The plan was to launch an amphibious attack on 80 kilometers of French coastline with 7 divisions. In the build-up to the invasion, the Allies launched reconnaissance missions to gather information about German defenses, using commandos and taking aerial photographs. They examined the fortifications, which grew stronger every day thanks to Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, who was responsible for repelling Allied invasion. He thought that the fate of the invasion would lie on the beaches. But General Gerd von Rundstedt, commander of Nazi troops in the west, disagreed, and he wanted to surround and defeat Allies as they come inland. Hitler solved the dispute by dispatching some armored divisions to Rommel, some to Rundstedt, and leaving some to himself. But it was the worst possible decision for the Germans. There were few dates that invasion was possible on. Eisenhower decided on the 5th of June. However, bad weather meant the invasion had to be delayed. Meteorologists said the weather would be better next day. Eisenhower took a chance and ordered, "Okay, we go." On the evening on the 5th of June, BBC broadcast 2 lines of the poem Autumn Song by Paul Verlaine. It was a signal to the French resistance that the time of invasion was close. In the meantime, an enormous naval fleet of war and transport ships made its way towards the Normandy coast. Sergeant Joe Pilk, from 16th Regiment of 1st American Division, was on the deck of transport ship called Samuel P. Chase.
We hardly spoke. There was no jokes or fooling around. Some of us prayed. We felt more close to each other than ever before.
In the meantime, British and American gliders and paratroopers were landing behind German lines to cover the flanks of the planned beachhead. The British 6th Paratroop Division landed where they could cover the Sword Beach, and they accomplished all their objectives. For example, they courageously captured 2 bridges on the Canal Caen and the River Orne. The 101st and 82nd American Paratrooper Divisions took control of the land behind Utah Beach. However, their landing was badly displaced, and they suffered much heavier casualties than the British. Next, there was a massive bombardment of German defenses in hope of destroying them before the invasion. Private Frank Gogh from German 352nd Division was on Omaha Beach at the time.
They fired round after round at our position. The ground was shaking. My eyes and ears were covered with the dust. We couldn't count on any help.
None of the landing forces were pushed back as Rommel had wanted. On Utah Beach, the 4th American Division led an attack with amphibious Sherman tanks. They easily broke the defenses that were held by reserve German troops. soldiers moved 10 kilometers inland and made contact with the paratroopers. But on Omaha Beach, the Americans were only supported by 5 tanks. They took heavy fire from the experienced German troops of 352nd Division. First Mate John Sears recalls the landing.
Our landing craft became grounded. We lowered the ramp and we found ourselves in hell. The soldiers on the boat were hit by a rain of bullets. Our lieutenant was shot in the head.
Sergeant Harry Baird from 116th Regiment of 1st American Division.
We approached the beach, we laid on the ground and we were stuck. There were bodies all over the place. People without arms and legs. Oh my god, it was terrible.
Facing heavy casualties, American General Omar Bradley, commanding from a warship, considered withdrawal. But around 11 a.m., his troops were already making progress and finally broke through. On the other beaches, Gold, Juno and Sword, British and Canadian forces defeated Germans without any difficulties. By the end of the day, the Allies already had 150,000 armed troops inland and had took 200 square kilometers of occupied France. In the next few days, Hitler and the rest of his general staff was convinced that the invasion in Normandy was only a support for the real one in the Pas-de-Calais. By the time the Germans realized their mistake, it was too late for counteraction. The Atlantic Wall had been broken, and the road to Paris was wide open.